Yeah, now stand and cheer for your Talking Basketball podcast.
Hello and welcome to another edition of Talking Basketball podcast. I am Mark.
I am Paul. Hello.
And Paul is joining us with extra vision accessories today. Is there a particular reason for your studious look?
Yeah, just looking at my phone, looking at the computer and all that jazz. It just makes it a lot easier to...
Getting old.
Yeah. There you go. See, it's not easy doing the mixing, Mark. I can see you there. You're like, you see, you know what I go through when I was doing that in the studio now.
Not really.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm recording it and having to do this as well. So, up yours.
There we go. Well, look, we went to the SLB this week.
We did.
Last weekend, just gone. Went to the SLB and watched the Surrey 89ers.
Yep.
Taking on the Caledonia Gladiators. I didn't know what the score was. What was the final score?
Oh, do you know what? No idea. Absolutely no idea.
Surrey won.
Yeah.
I know that. Surrey won. So, you know, one of the things that we wanted to do for our listeners was tell them about the game day experience and what it's like, you know, when you go and watch, in particular, the Surrey 89ers. Newest club, or one of the newest clubs in the SuperLeagueBasketball league. 79-71, apparently. Yeah. I thought it was about 10.
Felt like it was more than that. But.
It did, didn't it? It did feel like Surrey dominated the play, but just Caledonia just hung in there. And I remember a few times we looked at the score and went, it feels a lot. The scoreboard looks a lot closer.
Well, that's like an 8-point win. And a lot of the times it was more like 12, a couple of 14 points, I think. But they just kept bringing it back to the 8 and then they'd stretch their legs again, wouldn't they? So yeah. I think if the game had gone on another minute or two, it probably would have gone back up to a 12 or 14 sort of point difference. But there was a bit of the game, I think, where Caledonia, not only it wasn't that they clawed it back, they stopped Surrey from scoring. There was a little, I don't know, maybe the third quarter or something where it sort of slowed down. But at the beginning, you thought, this game's over before it's begun.
Mm. So what did you think of your experience, Mark, in the SLB 2025?
I think there's a lot of positives from it. First of all, you know, we both took our families and having the kids there, most of our families anyway. But seeing the kids there go and enjoy that, and as my daughter's first time seeing like a professional level basketball game like that in the UK, and her experience of that was like, is this what it's going to be like each week? And you go, no, these are like the professional players, as opposed to seeing sort of National League, as opposed to then seeing local league when you see the steps up. You know, they were getting all the shots in. It sounds really stupid to say it, but you know, you're not giving anyone a free shot. There was no open shots, so to speak.
Yeah.
If you get an open shot, it's going in.
And
I
thought it was a great day. Great day.
Well, yeah, I mean, you were there longer, because you're at the Surrey Sports Park, wasn't it?
Yeah, so the Surrey 89ers, they host their games at, you know, what's called Surrey Sports Park, which is, I believe, I didn't go into Guildford, but apparently it's right on the edge of Guildford. So it's like a 10-minute walk.
Further on that way, yeah.
Yeah, but it's like a 10-minute walk and you're in. So a lot of people who went there were going into Guildford, then coming back. For the games and stuff like that. But what I would say is I'm going to speak on both of our behalves here. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I know we're always skeptical when it's not a like a designated arena for basketball. I know we're both kind of skeptical, like, a little bit like that. But you know what? Hats off to him. I think Surrey Sports Park was great. So I went down there like Mark said, quite early on to check out, because the Portsmouth Force were playing there in the NBL Div 3. So I went down to check that out. And you know what? Look, some of the things that people don't talk about. There's loads of parking. Because we got there early, we were quite close to the actual front door, really, weren't we?
It's worth saying they were helpful, because on the website and so forth, it wasn't clear. You think if you were going down there from midday, and then to see the first game for the National League teams, and then it wasn't until the evening that the main SLB games were playing.
So the main show.
But you think you were there for over 8 hours, and obviously their parking situation wouldn't necessarily allow that. But
they were really cool.
But for traveling fans
really cool
and those sort of things, they have to bear those sort of things in mind, because, as you said, they are like a municipal gym. So there are other people going there just for gym classes, swimming, all that sort of stuff. But it's not a place like your regular town gym, if that makes sense. That's what where I think you're coming from, is that was actually a proper sports park. They are there to encourage all sports. That was really good.
I mean, if you're ever heading down there, they've got kind of two car parks that they use. The main car park, which I'd say for the right by the sports hall.
Yeah.
And if you're going to be there longer than 3 hours, even if it's in doubt, go to the desk, tell them what you're there for. You're going for a swim, whatever, and you're going to hang around for the SLB game, and they will literally, free of charge, put your car into the registration, and you're not paying for parking. Alternatively, if there isn't enough spaces, you go to another car park, and it's £2 for the whole day. I mean, that's nothing. I mean, you go to London, you go to Portsmouth,
I think
you park for 5 minutes, it's £2, isn't it?
I think the iPad, when you put in the thing, gives you an extra 2 or 3 hours, but it's not all day parking.
It gave me a whole day, Matt. They gave me a whole day.
Oh, well, that's because
I literally got there, and he said, "Put it in. It'll be a whole day." I think they might say 5 hours, but they were extremely accommodating.
It wasn't as clear on the website, and I think
it wasn't.
And I think as well, and I phoned you up beforehand, because Paul's got this good habit of, if there's somewhere to get parking tickets, he's the man to get them. So it was, as soon as I saw that, I thought, you better phone up, because if anyone's getting a ticket for parking 1 second over, it's going to be him. And so it wasn't that clear, but I can see why they would do it, because where Guildford is, for those who don't know the area or in the country itself, it's quite close in the commuter belt to London. So a lot of people pull up to Guildford, jump on the train, and get the train into London. So there's lots of parking around Guildford, where people just find somewhere to leave their car for the day, go into London, they get a cheaper train ticket, it's free parking, blah, blah, blah. So that's often why they bring these sort of things in. I'm sure Manchester, Edinburgh, Glasgow, Liverpool, all these big cities have the same, Bristol, same sort of issues, because parking is a premium when you get to city centre. So that's why a lot of these places do it. So it might sound weird to some people in different countries where they have some places like America or Canada, or where they have big sports complexes with effortless, parking for 1,000 people. We don't have that. That's not a thing.
Hey, look, they had enough. When I was right outside. And what I would say about the sports hall is they've definitely got stuff to keep you entertained. So like I said for the social thing, I took my kids, they had this really kind of big climbing wall. So if you're one of those people who can hold a harness, and you know what I mean by all that, so if someone falls, you catch them. There's a huge wall for that on one side, and then there's another wall on the right side where you climb, and if you fall off, you fall on this massive pad thing. But I took the kids on that. They were climbing on that for an hour, so that kept them entertained. There's a swimming pool there. Some of the players who played in the NBL Div 3 game, they were going to the jacuzzi afterwards and all that. So there's things you can do there if you wanted to make it a little bit more of a day, if you're coming from far away.
I guess that highlights the first thing that you said to me when you came in, was that a lot of the Super League players were just wandering in. Like they were...
access is nuts.
Yeah.
The access
just
is nuts. So like before you see you see some of the players walking around, and it's great because you're just like, hey, there's bloody Teo walking around. And she's like, you know, to give him a little fist pump like that, and he's like, cheers, man, like that. And then you turn around, and your kid's hanging off a climb wall. Crap. So
look after yourselves for a minute. Don't break anything.
Look, I'll be really honest here. Where the climbing wall is, you're looking at the climbing wall, and then you look to one side and you're looking straight out the front doors.
Yeah.
I saw the Caledonia Gladiators bus pull up, and them all walking out. I was a kid. I was excited. I was like, holy look at Plum Fairies. There's the Gladiators.
That's good.
And because I started looking like, oh man, here you go. My kids started looking, and because there's a few of us looking, it's quite soon turned into about 10 people. Like, oh, who's that? Who's that? And yeah, but the access. I mean, a bit like what I've said to you before. I don't run up to these guys. If they walk right past, I might say hello, or do a fist bump, high five, something like that. But I'm not running up to them because like they're people at the end of the day, and
they've just had a long journey,
an 8-hour drive or whatever it was. No, it's got to be more than that, isn't it?
It must be like they've been
9 hours.
What time do you say they get there? Like 3-4ish or something like that?
I reckon they turned up at 4, half 4.
Yeah, so they probably jumped in the coach about 7 in the morning.
Yeah, I mean, I fell for them a little bit after the game. We talked about it. We thought, you know what? They're probably getting back on the bus now.
Oh yeah,
they're going to be getting home at 2 in the morning. They might have a game at home.
I mean, to be honest, I'd want to do that. Just get on the bus, chill out, and then just have a sleep. Just have a little nap on the bus, then get home.
Be interesting what the bus is like.
That's
a podcast in itself, isn't it?
What
is the travel like? That generally speaking, you sit on a bus for 8 hours. That's hard getting off and then trying to play a basketball game. It's always hard. They're the best game. I always loved the away games because it was, that's when you got the camaraderie with your team and stuff like that. But it's I always see teams struggle when they go away.
Well, I can't imagine them. It's weird, actually, if you think about it, because obviously previously you had Plymouth in the league.
Yeah, I was just thinking Plymouth.
And, well, you say that, but this is what I was about to say. That must have been the worst trip. But actually, I think probably Guildford would be. And the reason is because when you come round in down the M1, you come all the way down past Manchester, then you get to the very, very top, like Cannock, right where the top of sort of Birmingham's, go round Birmingham, or down, and then you come straight across onto is it the M5, I think, and it goes straight down through to Bath and Bristol, and then you just carry on through to Exeter, and then off you go to Plymouth. So it's actually quite a straight route, whereas to come down to like Guildford area, they have to go down, round and through, and the only way is to get on the A25. There's no other way. So they got to at some point cut across. That would have been a slog. Whatever their trip, that's a slog. So to come off of that.
Yes, but I will say this. I only thought this the next day. I felt sorry for the Gladiators. Like, I woke up in the morning and went, man, they've probably just been home for like 5 hours or something. But everyone else in the league have to do that journey to go up.
Oh, yeah, of course.
I mean, people like Newcastle, Cheshire, Manchester, that's not too bad. But
no,
the Plymouths, the Surreys, they got to go up. Even Leicester, that's Leicester and Sheffield, that's still got to be 6 hours up there, maybe.
Yeah, I've driven from Glasgow to Manchester and done that before. Takes a little while.
Well, the Gladiators is the one I really would like to do. So that is on my list. I'm gonna go up to Scotland to watch the wee bands.
Well, you got to see the kit in person. Were you impressed?
You know what? I have a soft spot for Caledonia. And I think we were. I'm speaking on your behalf again, but I was just kind of a fan of the game. It was nice to see the Surrey win because it was at home, but I enjoyed watching the Gladiators as well. I was kind of just a fan of the game. I know that sounds really
No, you're absolutely
being
right.
a politician.
Look, my daughter said, which is our team? I was like, neither of them of our team. We just support. We're here to just enjoy the game. She's like, oh, okay. But and then it was like, oh, this is that player, and this player's on the flyer, and it was really interesting seeing how she got it, because you know, she doesn't know any of the players or hasn't met any of them or anything like that. So it's really interesting what she liked about them, and you know, we're all looking at their shoes, and so just simple things like that. Like, I like these colour shoes. I like that player. That guy's got really cool hair. That guy, he's always smiling. You know.
But the access that they had, like, we were under the basket front row, weren't we?
If we're going to,
it was like we were literally. They were like, I mean, a couple of times they flew into us, didn't they? And we were like saving them, and pushing them back on the court. Get in there! But can I just say,
if you haven't gone into those pod, I think they're called pod, weren't they?
Pods, pods, A, B, C, and D.
If you, for the extra $5 or whatever it is over a regular ticket,
I think it's the same cost.
No, I think they were like £3 or £4 more or something for the.
Oh, is it?
Just do it, because you're on the floor, and the first thing you do is that you feel when the players are running, like you said, when they run
into you, don't they?
Yeah. I mean, you just know.
That was good.
But it's that same thing. Like, we've had it at NBA games. Like, the closer the game you get to the game, the more you feel it on the floor. You see what the players are doing. There was a great dunk during the game, and it was like there, right in front of us.
Oh yeah, that was the.
They've shown that on quite a few highlights.
That was Surrey. Yeah, it was Surrey. It was a Surrey play. Yeah, it was Surrey. It was a Surrey dunk. Yeah. And if I don't know, I haven't looked at it. I want to say it's in the fourth quarter, and I remember turning around to you and saying 7 minutes 13 seconds or something like that.
Right.
Into the fourth quarter, and because that was a great play, and I kind of nudged my son next to me, and he was looking at his phone at the time. I'm like, oh. So you see me kind of like grab his head and hold it up. But can I say one thing I will say about the players? I can't comment about the Gladiators. I only assume they are the same. But absolute huge credit has got to go out to the players themselves and the organization, because they were very well rehearsed in how to speak to people. And I thought it was brilliant. Like, both my kids walked away going, Andrew Lawrence is an absolute hero of theirs now.
Oh yeah, I mean, your eldest got all Star Trek, didn't he? He was like, I've got to go get signatures, and like, you don't even know who they are. I just need the signatures.
The players were great to all the people talking to them after the game, and that's the one thing you get in British basketball that you don't really get in the NBA unless you're extremely lucky, or even in other places. I think it's because it's obviously maybe it's not as popular as places like, as you know, around Europe and stuff like that. But you know, the Surrey players went down into another area after the game, and anyone who wanted to go and meet the players could go and get their autographs. But the way the players behaved towards the fans, they got to have so much credit, because like I said, you had kids walking away who were just like, I'm a Surrey 89er fan now. And for people like Dan and stuff like that, he's just going to be loving that, isn't he? Just going, there you go. I've just got 3 more fans.
Absolutely. And you know, to meet them as well, and see how it was run, you could see that they put a lot of effort into as a community aspect. And I think that was very clear, because they had some like juniors floating around. And they really, like, during the half times, etc., they got the MC out, and he was brilliant, and he was really trying to create a nice atmosphere there.
Very engaging, wasn't he?
Yeah,
he was well rehearsed. He'd done that a lot.
But it was, and it wasn't too much. You know, there was some. I mean, look, we've been very positive about it. There were things that you go. There were fors and against. There was a couple of things you go, maybe they could improve here and there. I'm going to be controversial now. I think there's a plus and a minus with the reffing.
God, Mark, don't even start with the reffing.
I'm going to give the plus first. When the ref came over,
you know what I'm going to say?
The ref came over and gave the ball to your son. And I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. That's the game ball. Then he came over and gave it to my daughter and was like, hold on to that. Like during the...
Just for the context of our listeners. So there was a moment where something was happening on the court and it was going to be a 20, 30 second period where it stopped. All it was, no, I think for your daughter, it was a timeout. And he just went, can you hold that for me?
No, it was between the quarters. It was
was it?
Yeah, it was the between the quarters bit because she sat there holding the ball and she's like,
it's like
what do I do with it?
And
I'm
like, man, that's the game ball you're holding.
She didn't know what to do. But that was really nice that you see refs interacting with people because that's a good thing. But he loves.
I saw a lot of one ref.
He was the same ref, but he like standing in front, like literally right in front of you. He obviously wanted you to see his butt or something. And go check out the socials if you haven't seen the picture. But he almost like targeted Paul every time he'd perfectly stand. Now, I have a question for you on that. If you're the ref, you want to get in the best position possible. So it really shouldn't matter.
No, you're not moving. But what I did notice, that one ref in particular was very static.
They kept dragging
the other
back,
refs were moving.
Yes,
with the play. So if you imagine,
he had a
we
spot
were to the left of the basket.
Yes,
he went to his spot and went, "This is where I'm going."
Exactly.
Whereas the other ref, he went where he needed to be. So when the play was on the left-hand side, he came over to the left. If you notice, when the play went to the right, he went straight over to the right-hand side on the other side of the basket.
Yeah, they were dropping back and forward a little bit, weren't they? But so I was going to ask you about that because if you're in a certain arena or a certain place like that, for example, it might be that if you're one side or another side, there might be an optimum place where you say, I'm covering this area, this is the best place for me to be. In which case you kind of would always have a spot. And if you see someone, you go, right, if I'm standing in front of the A on that signpost or in front of the person with the blue jacket, I know that's my spot for the evening. So naturally, as a human, you probably go there.
Yeah.
And if you are the ref, well, it doesn't matter if you stand in front of someone's like. Look at all the NBA games.
Ref's got to go where he's got to go.
Look at the NBA games. All the NBA games, they're literally running right in front of him. You know, if the ref stands in front of you, he's going to stand in front of someone. But it was every single time he just stood in front of you.
It was just he was very static. I mean, generally speaking, I haven't been a ref in a while, but generally speaking, the refs are covering certain areas, and they will sometimes cover each other's area.
Mm-hmm.
So you do have referees that do not sometimes trust the other referee, so they'll be kind of like, I'm just reffing the whole thing, and they'll call something that's in the other ref's area. And sometimes it's interesting watching it because the other ref will like, hang on, why are you calling that? That was in my area.
But they might have a better.
They might have a better angle. But
what do you think of the calls then?
I thought the game was generally it was reffed well and consistent. Were there mistakes? Yes. Were there horrific mistakes? Yes.
I'm thinking of the one like straight off the gate that comes to mind is it was literally in front of us. We sat there and there's like 5-6 people sat there looking, and we're looking over a sign, and you can still see that the person's standing out and the ball bounced out, and the ref was, I don't know.
It was not as similar distance where we were from it, and even the player.
But he was down the line.
Oh, we're still playing.
Yeah. So he was down the line. So if he was a tennis linesman, he'd have done a crap job because the ball was out and he didn't call it. And
that was the only thing that and that's why I said it was horrific reffing. It wasn't really horrific reffing. It was just that happened on 3 occasions where I sat there and I literally saw a player run out of bounds with the ball on the baseline, and it wasn't called. And I was like, that's the most basic thing in basketball, isn't it? You got to stay in the lines.
But I don't think they not worked together well. I don't think they were like a good 3-pronged sort of system. It didn't feel like they, as refs, communicated all together. It felt like they were always waiting for one of them to blow the main. Like one of them was whistle happy, so the others kind of, swallowed the whistle a little bit. And
they all look like they've been doing it a while.
Oh, they don't. Yeah, clearly. But that's what I mean. It was almost like
you can miss 3 out of bounds.
No,
like literally, we had probably the best view there.
Oh, it's literally in front of us. Literally in front of us.
But it made me think, hang on, there's 3 on this baseline. How many have there been on down there? And there is a couple of calls they missed. Look, I mean, the thing is, though, it was consistent.
Yeah.
And where it's consistent, you think, okay.
But they also did pick up on things like charges, and they called them and then went the other way, and you go, okay, that's fair enough, because that's a hard thing to sometimes pick up on. A lot of the time it's that that's a defensive, you're reaching. It's actually, no, that was so they picked up on some of those sort of things. And I did feel that the game felt physical, but they weren't calling necessarily the little scrappy.
They were letting them play.
Yeah, they were letting them play.
And that was good.
That was the bit that I thought was good, is that you didn't feel that the game was stop-start too much. There's a little bit of a flow to it.
It was an enjoyable game, well played, and the right team won. I would say, what I will say, if you go to Surrey Sports Park, and you get there early, it's great because you go in your spot, and like where we were in those pods, we had the Gladiators warming up right in front of us. We were high-fiving the Gladiators and stuff like that. And that was very cool.
I did find the commentary a little distracting, in my own opinion, because
it's kind of an announcing / commentator, isn't it?
Exactly. So
it's a very English thing. I'd have to listen to what they do in Europe, but
when you're there
in America, it's very, you're an announcer.
Yes, yes, exactly. And it was almost as though they were doing commentary for those who weren't there, but then that's obviously what the feeds are from on DAZN and so forth. So
I think that's a very British thing, where it's like Andrew Lawrence for free. That is Andrew Lawrence's 4th-3 in this quarter.
Yeah, those bits don't need to come out. And I found it a little bit distracting from, like, well, we're here, so we know that. But more the point is just that it didn't need to, some of those things sometimes didn't need to be said. Because you're there, and if it was there doing the actual live announcing feed, and that's the feed that goes out, fair enough. But that's
there'd
not.
Be more talking. There'd be more talking.
There would be, and that is where, dare I say, the limitation came in from using like a sports hall as opposed to a dedicated arena. Is that a dedicated arena have different PA systems? Where someone could.
I mean, they had a bow smart. It was pretty good.
Oh no,
There's a
they have good
system they had in.
They do. What I'm saying is they have separate ones. So the likes of, say, Dan Routledge would give a very in-depth commentary explaining like a backstory and why someone's on.
But you wouldn't want to hear that.
You don't want to hear that exactly when you're watching a game, but you want to hear it if you're watching it on a telly, for example, because that is giving you the ambience. When you're in a stadium, you don't need to hear that. You just you're part of the crowd. That's what that experience is.
It comes across like the announcers, and like I said, I think it's a very British thing. The announcers are doing a little bit of things, so they'll go, Mark Chester for 3. It's good.
No one has ever said that.
Like, okay, whereas in the States, it will be nothing.
Yep.
The shot goes up 3, Mark Chester, and they're kind of doing that. They're not then commenting on. So again, I think I'm curious what they're doing in Europe. I'm gonna look into it and find out.
When we were speaking to Orlando's announcer, I remember him saying about the difference between the basketball and even like if you're an announcer for the hockey. You sometimes don't say anything for 6 or 7 minutes because you're only announcing.
It doesn't say lows like
no
we do in England.
No, so it's. I think that was an interesting one. But look, the crowd were there, and it was lovely hearing a crowd cheering for the team. Everyone's got behind it. There were a lot of families there, and that's what you want to see. Like, from a perspective of British basketball, it's those sort of things that people higher up need to see, I think.
Yeah, hopefully you're gonna pick this one up.
Yeah. Can't hear a thing.
You can't hear that?
Nope.
Damn.
He's playing Charlie Chaplin.
This is all online things now stop you from playing music, and you're like, you think, why?
Nope. Can't
I did have something pop up that said,
yeah, that'll be that'll be Teams
settings
or something. Yeah, just going, nope. Does it finds it and goes, nope, that's a sound. They're all at it now.
Is that doing anything?
Yep. Yeah, we can hear drips or drabs of that. It keeps cutting in and out.
It was, I thought it was a good atmosphere. I really like they did a thing. I think they might have called it the super clap or something like that.
Yes. Very similar to something you do at the Force. Yeah, it's good. But that is the sort of thing that people, I want to say the question is, how do you explain that? Because it's almost like saying to someone about music, hey, this is one of my favorite songs. Great. Have you seen that person live? Go see them live. It's a different, it's not, it won't be that song.
Yeah.
So you might be disappointed, but it won't be that song. It will be that sound effect, but it's a different thing. It's an experience.
I enjoyed the Surrey crowd. I thought they were
brilliant.
great. I spoke to one of the lady drummers afterwards, and she apologized. I'm being too loud. I was like, no, that's great.
No, that's brilliant.
Hit it harder. Like,
yeah, I'm going for
I
it.
said to her, like, you were brilliant. Like, that's what you want. You're getting everyone going. I thought the Surrey crowd were great.
How many people do you think they could get in if they had a bleachers on the other side, for example?
Oh, you'd be over 2,000 easily.
Yeah.
It was on the side. So they got one long bleacher. I want to say it was like maybe 15 rows, and in the entire court, there must have been, what, 1,000 people, I'm assuming, in there?
A to P plus another. Yeah, it's around that sort of figure.
1,000, something like that.
Yeah.
But look, I thought it was great. First SLB experience, I thought it was great. And I loved all the little things they were doing. You know, they had the dancers come in. They did like 3 or 4 shows for everyone. The kids loved the ducks. So
that was very good.
These little small ducks, they sell for £1 with like a number on. And then they put this big like target on the center court, and then all the kids ran down and were throwing it onto the court, and then whatever duck lands in closest to the middle, I don't know what they won. But you also had kids running up and down and during the time up in the timeouts doing a shooting competition. That one kid, there was 4 kids going for it, and he was the smallest one, wasn't he? And the 3 were bigger than him, but they all missed their layup.
Yeah, he nailed it, and he got it down the other end, and he forgot to do the layup. The other end,
and he was lining up, and then all of a sudden the ball kind of slipped out of his hand and went off the court, didn't he? And then the other kids caught up with him. He could have won it.
Yeah,
that was a chance.
He's
going to be dreaming about that miss for decades.
Listen, but there were some great free throws where.
Always free throws.
Yeah, but there were, because they were literally there like, we got to hit this one. And I think I'll shout out to Patrick Whelan, because he had a couple where he was doing the practice I want to say before the second half. Everyone else is warming up. He just went to the free throw line. He was just sat there practicing.
It was nice seeing him play. It was really nice seeing him play.
Yeah, definitely.
I know we followed for a while, so it was nice seeing him.
It's nice seeing that there's a decent level of competitive basketball in the UK, that it would be great if more people knew about it. I think that's the reality. Is it just? I think
it's expanding, isn't it? But I think we've been in a position like this for the 80s. I mean, I was looking at some of the attendances in the 80s, and it was like 300, 400. Well, in some NBL Div 3 teams, you're getting that.
Yep.
So over
absolutely.
the decades, it's expanding. Like the SLB now. You go to some places and they got 4, 5, 6,000,
Yep.
and it's going in the right direction, I think. But it's really enjoyable. I will say, if you need to get food as well, they got a place to eat in there. If you want to have a beer, you got a beer in there. We like cheese and ham paninis. We ate that. And got a little chocolate and got a can of Pepsi and sat there and started watching the Gladiators warm up.
I will say, if you want to look like real,
stuffing our face with chocolate, going here. Well, this is why we're sat here and you're there.
You want to look like real, I want to say not amateurs, but amateurs for that stadium in particular. We went there and thought, yeah, right, we'll just go down to our seats. Like, no one was in their seat. And it was like, is there anyone turning up? And then it was only, maybe 10 minutes before tip. It was like a floodgate. Everyone just suddenly turned up, didn't they? And
we were like, man, what's going on?
Yeah, like, is this going to be like a low turnout game? It's like, and then almost within a minute to go, it was packed out. It was completely packed out. But it was just funny that it was a sudden flood. Everyone just, find your seats, let's go. A bit like a theatre. Like, no, everyone realizes, oh yeah, you could turn up early, but don't do that.
Hey, if you're a true fan, you turn up there 6 hours before tip off.
No, don't do that.
That's what true fans do, Mark. Not 2 hours before tip off.
That's what lunatics do.
But what I will say is, and this is a little thing that you can do. I'll say that the players start warming up around, I'm going to say 4:30, 5:30 for was it 6:30 tip off or 6? I can't remember.
6.
It was 6.
Yeah.
So those players started going in there around 4, between 4 and 5, 4:30 maybe. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to shoot on a Super League basketball court, just go there 10 minutes before 4 o'clock. That's what I'll say. You want to shoot in the same rings as Andrew Lawrence and Teo. Just go there 3:30 and you can do it.
You say that, it's worth mentioning as well. We met up with Craig there. Shout out to Craig. And
so Craig, if you hadn't heard his episode, he builds all the courts for for the BBL. I don't know if he's still doing it, but he was building all the courts for the BBL for all the big games.
Go listen to his episode. He's met some very cool people and built some very cool courts. But he was telling us that's this, I want to say it's Terraflex. Correct me if I'm wrong, Greg, but that's like
the carpet.
Yeah, giant carpet. So I did actually take the photos, chucked them on the socials. Go check them out if you haven't.
It was interesting watching them do it, wasn't it?
It was weird, wasn't it? Because it was just like a...
Wasn't that hard though, was it? You're watching just going, okay, that's... I don't know if I'm a huge fan. Like I said, after the NBL game.
That's the picture that went up on the socials. If my camera's going to focus on it, I'm not sure. But yeah, you can't see it on there.
Mark, that's fine.
No, wow, it is what it is. But I did get another photo. You can't see it, but it's actually, my daughter was picking it up just to see, and it's about sort of yay thickness. It's not very a thick floor, but what it does do is it
1 mil, 2 mil? No, sorry, 1 centimeter, 2 centimeters.
Yeah, about a centimeter, I'd say. But it's literally like I won't say a lino, for those who know what that is, but it's like floor tiles, like that kind of thickness where it's almost like a spongy sort of thing with a rubber plasticky top. But I'm not saying you can feel dead spots, but it's not even necessarily because it is like a carpet or a mat being laid over.
I shot on and I was bouncing the ball around there for a good half an hour.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I've never played on one of those carpets, so I don't really know. But
look, the positive is it covers up badminton lines.
A lot worse. But it was all right.
No
bad.
Was all right. Would you rather have the best quality wood floor with badminton lines, or that one where there's no lines, other than obviously the correct lines?
I'd probably go for the best quality wood floor.
Oh, interesting.
And then burn the badminton lines off.
Just rip them off. But we were saying there was stickering where they put this mat
It's like
down.
a huge black tape, isn't it?
And
they
then
got a special tool that.
Yeah, exactly. And on the edges, they then put a white taping and a black tape down, so then you can see the exact markings for everything. But yeah, it was interesting to see that the ball has a different bounce. It has a different feel to it. It's not bad. It's just
that's a good way of saying it. It's
different.
Not bad. It's just different.
Different, yeah.
It's just a different feel. And once you're used to it, you'd be used to it. I mean, I've never gone on one of those, but you know what? Shooting on it, the rings felt nice.
Well, if you think
rings felt better shooting on those than having it on the NBA courts, that's for sure.
Well, you think in like the tennis, for example, you have grass, clay, and is it gravel? I want to say the other one, but there's like the three types of court that they play on for tennis as a
clay.
Yeah, grass, clay, and I want to say it's gravel, or it's that indoor thing, isn't it? So clay's one of the ones, but the indoor. Yeah, the blue one. I don't know what they call it, but those are your three types of court. And you'll see people who are champions. They'll be champions of, say, an indoor, which is the blue court, but they won't be as good on the grass because the ball was different and it bounces differently. That's.
Possible players are the same.
Well, that's what I'm going to say. I wonder because if you are used to a ball bouncing a certain way and the grip on your feet a certain way, a certain spring in the floor, it would be naturally different.
Yeah, potentially, yeah.
But it looked great. I thought it looked great. Unusual that it was black though, that the key was black and everything.
Oh, I liked it.
Well, what it looked like was London Lions court. That's what it looked like to me. Because it was the black.
Assuming that's a carpet as well. I'm sure.
Yes, it was.
Same thing.
Yeah.
And
they take about 3 hours to put down, apparently.
That's why if you get there early, you can shoot on it.
Yep. Because it takes about 3 hours to put it down and about 3 hours to take it up, or thereabouts, depending on how you put it.
No. What, the carpet?
Apparently.
No way. We watched them take it down. Like literally, we were there.
We were watching them rip it up. But yeah, that's like the first bits.
3 hours. I don't reckon that's 3 hours.
I'd imagine it's probably half the time. It would still probably take a while because you got to think those carpets. They're not going to be light. You got to carry them and stuff. So, yeah, even if it takes an hour and a half, that's still quite a lot of time to put stuff up and down. But yeah. I mean, I enjoyed it. I thought it was a good experience.
And hey, we got to talk about it because it's behind me. When you're there, they raffle off
jammiest git ever.
Player jerseys. And I was talking to the lady who was selling all the shirts and stuff like that, and I said to her, like, how much is what's the jersey this week then? And she said, oh, it's Andrew Lawrence. I was like, oh, okay, cool. I'll take a strip, a raffle strip. And it was quite funny because it got to the fourth quarter and there was a timeout. I literally turned around to Mark, held up my strip, and at the top, I'm just like, 151, Mark, 151. And next thing is like, and the number drawn, 151.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, the video's on the social. Go check it out. It's the jammiest get ever. I thought he was joking. Like when someone says, oh, it's someone's birthday, and he was like, yeah. No, they genuinely, they want it.
Watching on YouTube. Here's his jersey. Worn jersey.
Yeah, and you got the photo up with Andrew as well afterwards with the kids. Right.
And it's signed as well.
Like,
there you go.
This is the fact that it's a game worn jersey. You don't need to sniff it. Like that is very cool.
Really cool.
Well, look, we saw Andrew before when he was coaching Surrey's National League team.
Yeah, I think, and that's why I really like getting that jersey. I thought it was amazing getting that jersey because it was like, have I told you my Andrew Lawrence story? Yes. My embarrassing Andrew Lawrence. Have I said that before?
Yes.
Because he came down and he was sat. I don't even know why I didn't put it together, but Surrey 89ers, their NBL Div 3 team, came down to Portsmouth, and obviously I'm there and doing everything sound-wise and stuff like that. And I go and sit next to him, And I say, hey, I know this sounds really silly, but do I know you from somewhere? He just looked at me like, look at him. He must be thinking, yeah, I played for Great Britain for 15 years, mate. But he was really humble about it, and he was kind of just like said, yeah, I play a bit of basketball. I've played, And I went, oh, who are you playing for now? And he's like, well, I haven't really, it's kind of a bit all over the place, but the Surrey 89ers. And then I was like, hang on, what's your name again? And he went, Andrew Lawrence. And I was like, idiot.
Yeah, I was there.
Idiot. So I did apologize many times to him.
Yeah, well, look, he said he's going to come on the show at some point, but he has obviously been pretty busy with all his coaching and yeah.
He was very humble at that. And what I saw at the game at the weekend, he was extremely humble. He was great with the kids. He's great with kids. And he just comes across like a real genuine guy. Yep. And I hope all the best for him. I hope he does well. And then for me to get his jersey signed and it's worn, I'm like, that's amazing.
Yeah, definitely.
My only like, oh man, because he signed it, I can't wear it. Whereas if he hadn't signed it, I'll be wearing that. Game worn. Yeah,
you'd be wearing it.
He signed it, so hang on, let me line that up.
Yeah,
he signed it, so no, can't be worn, Mark.
Well, maybe you'll have to buy a white one. Because I think they got the reverse color, haven't they? The white and gold.
Oh, they don't. They didn't sell that, but
listen, yeah. Maybe you're going back to your Celtics roots. That's what it is.
Yeah, maybe there's a little bit of that, but
team green, or maybe coming over to Dallas. You want to have the green there. Who knows?
So yeah, look, let's face it. I mean, it was an all-round great day. Surrey Sports Park. It's got lots to offer for the family. And then you go and watch some decent basketball. So I think all in all, I really enjoyed my day at Surrey Sports Park.
That was a lovely day. And look, as I said, I took my daughter. She's under 10. You took your kids. They're all under like 16.
11, 13.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, it's not, when we're saying like family day, it's not just like, oh, you've got like little kids, like tiny toddlers. No, these are kids who, if you say sit in a seat for more than 20 minutes, you're lucky. They were like hooked, like, let's watch this game. Yeah. And they all loved it.
Seeing the cameras and the cameramen. And look, at one point we had players falling in our laps as well. It's like, hey, you're right, quick, get back on. So, it was great. It was great. And look, it's only 45 minutes up the road. Are we going to go again? Yeah, probably.
Yeah. And I
just felt sorry for Caledonia because like I said, I got a soft spot for them. But I know how to help Caledonia. I've said it. I'm going to do it. I'll do it for next week.
You get some players.
I've got a song. Mark.
Yeah.
Hang on. You're not going to be able to hear it anyway because of the mic, are you?
No.
What
song is it that you're trying to play?
It is called Caledonia.
No, we've all heard that. Terrible.
No, you haven't, Mark. Not this version. Not my version.
Your version.
My version will inspire the team to greatness.
It's not sung by that other local legend, Paul, is it? Because I definitely don't want to hear that.
Let's not go there. Right, there we go. So look, all-round great day at Surrey Sports Park.
Yeah, really enjoyed it.
They got some decent basketball there, and look, let's face it, that was 6th versus 9th, was it?
Yes. Yep.
Is it 6th or 7th versus 9th?
Yep.
And that was a decent game to watch. We weren't cheering anyone. We just watched it, enjoyed it.
Well, look, you think Surrey are going into the finals.
Cup final this Saturday.
Yep.
Or Sunday, sorry.
Sunday, that's right. And they still put on a great show. You would think, oh, am I going to rest people or anything like that? No, didn't do any of that. There was none of this nonsense.
Hey, we're not. This isn't the NBA, Mark.
Yeah, but
there's a game. We're playing it. Let's go.
In there, you got to think though. It's their first season, effectively, as Surrey 89ers. They've got a chance to win some silverware, and they're sitting in like 6th position.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, there you go. That's next week's show then.
That is next week's show indeed. But yeah, big shout
Right.
out and a thank you to that place, because it was definitely a good idea, worth going up to see them. You what?
I'm going to end the show with a Surrey 89er shout out.
Are you?
I'll do it with music though.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
When you get there.
And so it's another edition of Talking Basketball Podcast. Thank you very much for listening. I've been Mark as always.
I am Paul, and
Your Surrey 89ers!
Rebel against badminton. Just remember that.